Welcome back to an in-depth playthrough of Pathways into Darkness. Today we are going to play through the ground floor, but first we're going to talk about some controls, and we're going to talk about a bunch of the starting items and whatnot, and some gameplay mechanics such as how the weapons work and how the save runes and resting runes work, and enemy health and all that kind of stuff. First off, you're using Aleph 1.4, there's a couple issues. The infrared goggles are kind of messed up, and also talking to the dead on the loaded game until you switch levels, it won't work right. So what you can do is download Aleph 1.3.1, which is down here, and I'll give you this link in the description. Also, you can try using System 7 by Hopper, which is just a GUI theme, which I'm using. I'll give you the link to this in the description also. This will just make your menu look a little better. So moving on to controls, there is a page from the manual, and it pretty much gives you the controls for the Mac versions of the game. There is the mouse control. I haven't used it much, but I probably wouldn't recommend it. I used it briefly and it just didn't seem very good. From the controls, in the Mac, dodging is really important. Make sure you know the dodges, and then also what you probably don't use very often is look left and look right, and those are probably the less common controls, so just keep those in mind because you learn how to use those and those can be handy. There are a few undocumented controls I want to show you that only work in the Mac version. So I have an emulator running Pathways into Darkness version 2.0. The first one is if you hold control and type Carnage, the stat screen will come up. You can also do this by holding shift and the hyphen key in version 1.0 and 1.1. The next undocumented control is the turbo, which increases the game speed. So you just hold control and type turbo, and then you move way faster than the default game. The next undocumented control, as you can see that it's 6:14 right now. If you type control and type reset, it will change the time back to the starting time re-enter the pyramid. Another undocumented control is that you can switch which hand you're holding a weapon. You hold control and tap left, switch to left-handed, and then you can hold control and type right, and then switch back to right-handed. Not all the weapons you can hold left hand, but some of them you can, most of them you can. The last control or undocumented control you can do is if you hold control and type anywhere, it allows you to save the game at any location, so you don't have to be on a save room. Now all of these controls, except for the hold shift and hyphen key to bring up the stat screen, are only in version 2.0. Just want to make sure that is clear. Unfortunately, Aleph 1 doesn't have an easy way of bringing up this score screen. It's messed up because of the port, but anyways. Now, if you're in the Aleph 1 installation folder where you downloaded and placed the game, there's an important README document. And in here, there's just some important settings and stuff, which I'll go over. There's also some other differences. You probably want to take a read through this if you're playing on the Aleph 1 version. Alright, so for preferences that you want to set up, go to player, make sure you're playing on normal difficulty. You can play on other difficulties, but the Pathways into Darkness is set up so the regular game is on normal. If you're playing on other difficulties, it will make it easier or harder. So you do have that option, but it's not really like set up at all. So it's just using modifiers that are default to Marathon and Aleph 1. Total Carnage, he did give you some extra Walther P4 ammo, so if you want to try that, you can. But yeah. Also, turn off crosshairs because the original game doesn't have crosshairs. Under graphics, make sure you're playing on OpenGL. I got a widescreen screen resolution, which the default game is 4:3. So if you want to keep the same aspect ratio, you might want to change that for a more authentic experience. But then you also got the HUD. I'm playing on the largest, so you can easily see it if you're on your phone or something. And then go to rendering options, go to advanced, and make sure all the texture filtering is set to none. Also, under the sound, make sure the sound quality is set to 16-bit. Then under environment, go to the plugins. Make sure all the Pathways into Darkness plugins are enabled. This last one, the System 7, is just the menu theme that I have. Alright, as far as controls go, if you go to, well, by default I turned off the mouse aiming because using the mouse doesn't really work, and this allows me to move my mouse around off the screen or whatever I want to do. You need to turn on the turn left and turn right to turn, and you got the glance left and glance right, which is the look left, look right. And then also on the move, also you got the move up, move down, strafe left, strafe right, all that kind of stuff. Under actions, you got the trigger. This is for shooting. You got second trigger, which is for using your crystals. And then you got next weapon and previous weapon, and that's for going up and down in your menu or your inventory, and it's also for switching weapons. If you hold down second trigger and use previous or next weapon, you can go to the first item or second or last item in your inventory quickly. You also got the action, and this is to use items in your inventory and select them and whatnot. The microphone is used for bringing up your menu, and holding it will allow you to rest. In the interface, make sure you set the auto map button. This is basically used for bringing up your map. So that's it for the settings. Alright, let's start a new game. Immediately we start in this hallway. We look around and see the door behind us. This is kind of where we came in, but it's locked behind us, so we're stuck in here. We got some, bones and some debris on the ground, so who knows where those bones came from. Maybe those are some past people that came in here and died, or maybe there's some creature bones. Who knows? We'll probably never know. Some of them look like human bones, I guess, right there. Got some debris, maybe some of this pyramid's falling apart with some broken columns. There is a green version of this column that appears within the shape files that we can't actually, see. In the menu or the manual, you should know, like, this is how fast we move. In the manual, there's a section that says running, dodging, and climbing. This is how fast. I guess that's considered running. That, my guy must be running. He must be overweight and slow or something. I don't know. And we got our dodging. As far as climbing, there's some ladders and stuff that we can climb. And there's actually an image on the back of the box that had an option for or button for climb. I think it's also in the Aleph or the demo version A1. You actually had to push a button in order to climb, which is in your menu. But now all we gotta do is run into the ladders to climb them. All right, so one thing, we'll turn off our flashlight. So without the flashlight on, this is a range of 20 meters according to the manual. So you can see, like, if one block, basically this game is separated into blocks. You can kind of see them. Like, this column is one block, so halfway between them, where that you can see that vertical line through the wall a little bit. Those are like the edge of one block. So if you look at how far I can see, without the flashlight, it's about 2 blocks. And the blocks will be, we call them sectors. That's what I'll refer to them as. There's 2 sectors. And we'll talk more about different stuff that will affect the sectors. Okay, let's talk about some of the items in our menu. First, let's talk about the watch. The digital watch is a standard US Special Forces issued timekeeping device. The official handbook says this about it. I think this one tells you the time. There's actually a different looking watch in the Aleph A1 port. I'm not sure why they changed it, but for whatever reason, Colin Brent or Jason Jones decided that they wanted to change the look of the watch. Alright, next we got the flashlight. It says on the side of the flashlight is a label promising the batteries will last for 6 days of constant operation. Turn that back on. So basically the flashlight, you cannot get it to die ever, because it will last the whole way through the pyramid and not die. So you can basically leave the flashlight on the whole time if you like. There is a way that the flashlight in the script for the game that it can save flashlight dead, but you can't ever get that to actually happen in game. The official hint book says that it provides a focused source of light. So you have that. Next, we'll talk about the map. The map says the pen and paper are used to keep a map of your journey into the catacombs. Strangely enough, in the back of the box for the game, in the screenshot, it was actually called pen and paper instead of map. So I wonder if they changed that at some time. But basically, you know, it's kind of a big deal in this game is the map will auto map, you know, and draw you the walls. But ironically, you know, kind of a joke in the official hint book, it says useful for mapping. Try dropping the map, running around for a little while, and then picking up the map again. Wow, it's a magic map. That's saying that, you know, if you put the map down and go look around and then come back, your map will suddenly be more filled out. So I guess Sergeant Eddings can remember everything he sees and draw it as soon as he comes back and picks up the map. He must have a really good memory. Which makes you wonder why he has a map. Alright, next we got the canvas bag. It says you don't notice anything interesting about the canvas bag. Strangely enough, in the Aleph 1 game, there was actually a backpack that you could use, which doesn't exist in this game. The official hint book says one holds stuff, the second holds more stuff. That's hinting that there are more canvas bags perhaps, or other containers we'll be able to get in the game. In the Aleph 1 port, the canvas bag can hold 6 items, but this is not actually the same as the original game. I kind of made this screenshot to show how much stuff you can carry in these canvas bags, and you can see it's kind of messy. So it's not actually based on weight. Each item is given a volume usage and each container is given a capacity. So our canvas bag here has a capacity of 400, and you can see all the items have a bunch of different amount of volume usage of that capacity. So like the volume usage of the canvas bag is humongous, so you couldn't fit a canvas bag into another canvas bag in the original, but you can in the Aleph 1 port because it can hold any of these 6 items. In the script for the game, it says that each bullet takes up 1 capacity, but if you look at the magazine size, the volume usage is equal to the number of bullets in it. So I'm not sure if this is added 1 onto this number or if they just use this number. I just put it here. This is the best I know, but some of this I haven't tested this out, so hopefully it's all accurate. Alright, next in the canvas bag we have a Colt 45 pistol. This is a Colt 45 pistol. You cannot use the Colt 45 right now because you don't have any ammunition for it. Then you got the magazine, and that's just a magazine for your Colt. We know that we lost our spare Colt 45 magazines in the Yucatan jungle before we made it into the pyramid, based on the manual story prologue. But it's kind of strange that you would have an empty magazine in your pistol. I mean, you'd think you would just turn the safety on or just leave no magazines, you know what I mean, other than leaving an empty one. It's kind of strange that you have an empty magazine in your Colt. The official hint book says you might as well drop these. You never find any 45 ammo or a working M16. Basically, we can just drop this if we want, but we'll just leave it in here. Alright, backing out, we're gonna look, we got our knife here, we're gonna equip. And so, we can't actually look at the description for the knife, so I'll just read it. Double click on the survival knife to ready it for combat. There's really nothing special about that. In the official hint book it says, downside, does the least damage of all the weapons and has the shortest range. Upside, never runs out. So basically we can run out of ammo, and ammo is going to be important in this game. So we want to use our knife a lot at the beginning so we don't run out of ammo. So the knife always hits for 20 damage, and the range of it is 853 out of 1024, where 1024 is the width of one sector. So basically you can hit 83% of the length of a sector approximately. So not quite one full sector, but about 4/5 of one. Next, I want to talk about the map for a little bit. So you can see on the top left, we have a melee combat expert. In the original games, you also started with a proficiency up to the M16 and Colt 45 at expert, but Working Cat just decided to leave that out of the game since you don't actually get those weapons in the game, so it's kind of pointless. You can see the time on the top left. We're at 0 meters on the ground floor. You can get 0 out of 41 points, but actually you can get more than that. Tells you how much treasure you have, which will help our score at the end of the game. On the bottom right, you can see a legend for the map. It's kind of small on this screen, but there's a sword in that north arrow. And so it kind of makes you wonder, because this game really doesn't have swords. It's like perhaps that sword was a leftover image from when the game was going to be Minotaur 3D. Alright, next. We're going to go down the hallway and start to explore. So back in this room. So we just kind of come down here, and then we see some more of these columns, and we open up and do an open room. See a dead German, a door on the left, door on the right. Those are both locked. We actually can't open those right now. There's this blue rune in the middle that we'll talk about in a minute. Got some ammo just sitting here. So sometimes when enemies died, they'll have some ammo nearby, which perhaps they lost this ammo when they were fighting. Also, we kind of go over there. It says you see a strange blue rune. We'll go ahead and pick this up. That little sound of picking up the Walther P4 magazine was actually used in Minotaur also, so they used one of the same sounds. So that we see this guy, he kind of looks like a German. He has that band around his arm. He's got the boots and the gray uniform. Looks a lot like a German. You can see his skull. He's been dead a while. It's like everything is rotted off. Right, so we can go on top of him. We see a dead German soldier. So that's another clue that he's a soldier. Hit the mic key and go on his menu, and he has a bunch of stuff. So first off, let's go talk about this copy of Mein Kampf. So this is one of the original copies of Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf. Given the gravity of the situation at hand and your lack of any knowledge of German whatsoever, it probably wouldn't make a very good reading at the moment. This item is basically useless, and that's exactly what the official hint book says about it. The copy of Mein Kampf doesn't do anything for us, so we're just going to leave it here. Next, we're going to talk about this Walther P4 pistol. Walther P4 was the most common sidearm of the German army during the Second World War. Its magazines hold 8 9mm parabellum rounds. I don't know much about parabellum rounds or whatever, but this is what the official hint book says about it. The first firearm you will find, and the only one until you find the MP41 later on. The early Walther, such as the P4, are peculiar in that they have the ejection port on the left side, throwing the empty casing across the right-hand firer's field of view. I guess the Walther research and development team was all lefties. Now, something strange about this gun is it was developed in the late 70s as an improved version of the P38. But what we will learn later on is the Germans, and as I said before, the Germans entered the pyramids actually in 1938, which is way before the 70s. So this is actually a kind of blunder on Bungie's part as far as the story. Now, when we pick up the Walther P4, we hear a sound. This is the sound of getting points in this game. So basically, now if I go look at my map, which we'll go do that, you can see on the top left I have 1 of 41 points. Now, the important thing about points, other than just giving you a higher score at the end of the game, is that every 4 points you get gives you 2 additional maximum hit points. So right now our maximum hit points is 6, and so once we get 4 points, it'll go up 2. Every single 4 points will go up 2. So if you go 6 to 8 hit points by getting 4 points, you know, that's a pretty big difference. Now, I put together a handy little weapon stat sheet, you know, to help explain how much damage this Walther P4 does. And we'll do the same with other weapons in this game. All the weapons except for the knife follow this kind of formula for how much damage they do, which is the base damage. So the Walther P4's base damage is 30, plus the difference between your skill and their distance times the base damage over 5. So if you think about it this way, the base damage over 5 is 6. So basically, each upgrade in your skill, it adds 6 damage, and each additional sector, so a distance is based on the number of sectors that I explained before, which is 1 block. So each distance farther you're away, it will go down by 6. You kind of can see that with no experience, which is what we start off with, we start with 30 damage. And then as you go 1 sector farther away, each time it goes down 6. But as far as like the higher experience levels, after you hit an enemy once, it'll go up to beginner. So basically, you know, we only have to hit an enemy. We don't even have to do any damage. We just have to hit them, and then we'll be at beginner. And so this is the damage we're gonna do basically starting off, because this is, you know, just 1 hit. And then, you know, we'll go up to novice after doing 4,000 damage, and then expert after doing 10,000 damage. These numbers were lower. I believe this is demo version 2.0, but I'm not sure what it was in demo A1. They just reduced the amount of damage in the demo so you could actually get expert. Now, as far as the distance, I think, you know, with 0 distance is going to be right next to you, and 1, but I think realistically the game doesn't like if you're at a distance of 0.5, your damage would probably be, you know, halfway in between these two numbers, because I don't think the game does any rounding. But this just gives you a rough idea of how much damage you're doing at what distance. In Aleph 1, the experience works a little different though. It's not based on the amount of damage you do, it's based on the number of hits that you do. But it basically is not going to make much of a difference because we won't even see these numbers. But in Aleph 1, the Walther P4 goes to level 2 at 121 shots and level 3 at 275 shots that are hits. So that gives you an idea of an Aleph 1 when it levels up. Alright, next I want to talk about this blue rune on the screen. It's kind of hard to see it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this rune and we're going to transpose it for you guys. So here is a transposed image of that blue rune. All I did was stretch it vertically, so it's like more round, right? I mean, it's not perfect, but it's pretty close. So the top left part of this image kind of looks like a bunny. And in the Mayan astrology, the zodiac symbols type of stuff, the rabbit is the 8th day of the Mayan astrology, you know, zodiac calendar. So kind of looks like a bunny. I'm not sure what that is. It could be like some snakes or something. Also, this bunny could be representative of the Egyptian snake god Unut, also known as Wenet, who was later deciphered as a woman's body with a hare's head. So that might be what this is also. This top right image is the Ouroboros is what it stands for. It's an Egyptian symbol that represents a serpent or a dragon biting its own tail, and it kind of has like the infinity symbol. You can see right up here, it looks like this is where the snake's head is biting its tail. The symbol can mean multiple things, such as life out of death. In mythology, the Ouroboros symbol represents the Milky Way galaxy, which is interesting because we know that the sleeping god fought in one of the dwarf galaxies from the manual. These triangle symbols, I'm not exactly sure what they are. Well, in Egypt, the triangles could represent intelligence and the capacity for love, although I'm not sure. This target looking symbol is most certainly the Egyptian sun glyph. The Egyptians worshipped the sun as the god of Ra. So that's what this symbol represents. So you can see Colin Brent did his homework and put some interesting images in here. Alright, so next we're going to continue on and we're going to fight an enemy. So that's where we came from. Here's the German to the left. So we're going to come down here. We can go two ways, and there's Headless to the left over here. First creature we'll find, and we'll kill him with our knife. Come around. There he is. You can kind of see him walking towards us. We can easily just dodge him. We're gonna bring him around a little bit. So in Aleph 1, they sometimes like start walking backwards. I don't know if we'll do this. It's kind of a glitch in the game. And also sometimes, he might hit me here. Yep. But sometimes when you're close to him, it'll go invisible. We'll just kill him. So there he is. And you can see when we walk over him, it says the dead Headless. So it's pretty easy to kill. So here I made a little stat sheet about the Headless. They have a health of 35. So you know our knife does 20 damage. So we basically can kill them with 2 knife hits. Now their damage, you need to divide by 10. So basically to our health, he'll do 0.7 to 0.9 damage. When the Headless hits, and any enemy hits another enemy, it does double damage. So if Headless is behind him and hits him in the back, he'll do 14 to 18 damage to him. And so you don't divide that by 10, and that'll be how much damage. So the Headless shoots some goo at us, that green goo as you saw. There's actually a purple version of the Headless in the shape files. I'll show you that. The green sensors on its chest, that's how it kind of sees, and we'll see that from the official hint book. The official hint book talks a little bit about the monsters, and check this out. It says the following. The following are summaries of the research done of the creatures Sergeant Eddings found inside and beneath the pyramid. Foremost in the minds of the researchers has been the question of origin. Many creatures displayed attributes that can only be described as supernatural, while several creatures seem to be bizarre organic life forms, only somewhat similar to those indigenous to our planet. And specifically about the Headless, this is what the official hint book says. Headless are dumb, bipedal creatures, but seem to be biological rather than supernatural in origin. The Headless has a bank of mysterious sensory organs running down its abdomen, which it seems to use for tracking prey. The Headless cries out and bleeds red blood when injured. Its principal weapon is its ability to project a semi-solid mass of noxious spittle. If injured while spitting, the Headless's own scream causes the spitting process to be stopped. So that's kind of hinting that you can stun it. Also, its screams kind of sound like that of a bird. I tried to use some of those apps that recognize bird sounds, and I could not figure out what bird sound it originated from. Probably just been distorted, and they probably got this on some the regular salt effects or sound effects that are used in games. So I don't know where it came from. In the official hint book, the Headless is given the additional Latin name Expectorus Decapitus. Really this isn't Latin, but it's kind of a play on words where expectorant is a drug that's used that causes you to spit. And then Decapitus stands for decapitate, which is no head, so it's kind of a funny joke they have there. If you died to a Headless, the game will say you have died a horrible and nasty death. Wipe off that green goo and try again. So don't let him kill you, that's kind of nasty. Now something else I should mention about the Headless's health is that you actually have to make this number go negative. Like if you take off exactly 35 hit points and its hit points reaches 0, he will still be alive. You have to make his hit points go negative. Now that we fought him, you can see we're missing some health. We have 5.2 health out of 6. So he did 0.8 damage to us, which was in the 0.6 7.9 damage he could do. If we hold F or rest, basically every 7 minutes is how long it'll take to rest. So every 7 minutes, you will recover 1/12 of your hit points. So there's that. Also in demo version A1, the resting takes 10 minutes instead of 7 minutes, and that's the only one where it does that. Now, you know, if we come over here, this is where the Headless was. There's a save room and a ladder going up. There's nothing really fancy about this save room, but we can pick up this ammo right here. Sometimes the Germans will leave some ammo just lying around, and sometimes it's hidden under debris and stuff, but right here it's just out in the open. So if we come over here, this is where we're gonna end the game at. There's a similar ladder and save room on this side. In the demo A1 version, it's the only version, you know, in that demo that you could save the game anywhere. Otherwise you gotta go in the save rooms. Normally, if I just go on here, hit my action button, and then I saved it. So in the well, the manual says you could have 6 saves. You could really have 8 saves. They kind of made a blunder there. In the Aleph 1 port, however, you can have as many saves as you want. A lot of people actually complained that Pathways in Darkness was too hard, and check out this. One of the guy was complaining that about the save system. Is like, why can't you have more saves? Why did you do it this way? And this is what Jason Jones had to say about the save system in this game. I'm interested in feedback on this, but here are the reasons Bungie changed the save game system for Pathways between the demo and the released version. It is too easy to save in the demo. Nobody thinking about saving, they just do it. If you could save like this in the released version, it would be too easy to break yourself in a corner. I don't know why I saved with 0.2 vitality with that bone 4 inches from my nose. Trust me, it's been done. Or even worse. Yeah, sure, I saved after I drank the red potion, but it didn't seem to do anything. What do you mean I need it? The save dialogue forces people to think about what they are doing, and better yet, it easily supports and even encourages players to keep multiple saved games around without having to resort to the finder. The save runes, as someone previously said, allow an additional level of difficulty to be added to the game, but more importantly, they make it dying mean something in the released version. In the demo, dying was meaningless. If you died, you just reverted to the game you had saved a few minutes or seconds previously. In the release version, dying sets you back, so you don't want to die. In my honest opinion, this makes the game is more exciting when you're in a dangerous situation. Jason. Well, that's it for the ground floor for this video. In the next video, we'll be going up to never stop firing, and so we'll be fighting a lot more enemies and really getting into the gameplay in that next video. See you guys then.